Welcome back. Welcome back. We know it's just like it's Thursday, getting that much closer to the weekend. But you know what? We're going to talk about some things. We're going to talk about Josh Downs' camp, and we're going to talk about some comments made by a former Colts QB that we're going to break down. But, in the meantime, Sammy, bring us in.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. And Bill Show.
Intercepted! Marlon Jackson! Marlon's got it! We're going to the Super Bowl! We're going to the Super Bowl! Marlon Jackson with the interception! He picked off Tom Brady!
The sickest Indianapolis Colts podcast. It's gonna be sick.
All right, and welcome back to the Sick Podcast Anvil Show. I am CJ, and as you see, the esteemed gentleman, or whatever you call him, Big P's with me, or Pat. I'm going to call him Pat because I'm not going to call him. Nobody thinks that's what's just strange. But either way, how's it going today, Pat? How we feeling?
Doing good, doing well.
Yes. And you know what? We have some things to discuss, but first and foremost, we gotta make sure that we first talk about this amazing camp that we had from this past weekend with Josh Downs. So Josh Downs' camp was this past weekend, and Pat, just let the people know just like what was going on, like just I'm gonna say what happened in totality.
In totality, a lot of great memories were made. Kids were happy.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it's hard to answer that totality question because there was just so much going on. I mean, if you didn't have your head on a swivel at this camp, you're going to miss something. I mean, because from 6 to 16, they got all these kids broken up into age ranges, and they go through all the drills, unless you're an older kid that wants to specifically work on, say, quarterback drills or receiver drills or tight end drills. You stuck with those groups. But other than that, I mean, these kids were running circuits the whole time, learning everything.
Yeah.
You really had to have your head on a swivel to see it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing was like the fact that amidst all of this, you had Josh making sure that he's going and working with every group at some point. So I think he was working with the younger kids. I think he went to work with some of the older kids as well. Even Drew Ogletree, he was out there, and I mean, even he was out there just working with the kids. So I mean, honestly, it's just like it was an event where we got a chance to really see like how they interact with the kids, how they interact with them. I mean, I think I might have seen Josh Downs give out about 200 high fives to kids, and I'm just like, after a while, I'm just like, man, like this is, he is, he's making sure there's not a single child unaccounted for. So, I mean, that was the most amazing part.
Both him and Drew done a damn good job making sure that all the kids, got some one-on-one time with them.
Oh yeah.
One of our new radio stations, Mix 105, was out there doing live. And if you guys paid attention to that, Austin does a hashtag series called #Strong, and he brings awareness to rare childhood diseases.
Mhm.
And he was able to bring a couple of those kids out. And Drew went over there and spent a lot of time with those young men. And Josh got over there too. Now I didn't see or was able to stick around to see how long of a time Josh got to, talk to those kids, encourage those kids, pray for those kids. But I know he was over there with them, so that right there alone to me was a success. You're a child and you're fighting a rare childhood disease.
Mhm.
Come on now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, these guys are special, and they
No,
did one
absolutely.
heck of a job. And we'd be remiss if we left out game day youth camps. because they're the ones that put this on. They're the ones that set it all up. They're the ones that got all the coaching positions filled. They did one heck of a job. I cannot wait to go to the Kenny Moore camp next month.
Absolutely.
Cannot wait.
And it was, and that in and of itself was it was a very good thing because of the fact that we really had the chance to, I'm going to say, to really interact with him. And, it's just like, well, we're going to start getting to some of the comments because, they're rolling in. So shout out, what's up, Josh? What's going on, Zach, Stacy, Kevin, everybody so far. If I missed anybody, I'll make sure to get back to you. But to Josh's point, and this was the craziest thing because, having the chance to interact with Josh, I think his focus was making sure like he's, interacting with the kids. But I mean, dude is super humble and, talking to his family, being able to interact with everybody that you see on the screen behind you with Pat. Like it's his mom, his dad, the guy who runs his foundation, his agent. Like these people, they didn't come there and they were just like, whatever, okay, we're just gonna go ahead and do our own business. Like you have conversations with each and every one of them, and then you realize what all goes into how Josh really is. And Josh is really just a humble, down to earth dude. Like, for anybody who hasn't seen the interview yet, the interview is on the YouTube page, so make sure that you go and that you watch that. But I mean,
which is a good segue into subscribing to the YouTube channel.
Yes, absolutely. Make sure that you are subscribing. That way, when we're going live, when everything's happening. So yeah, make sure that you're subscribing. Sick Podcast Anvil Show. As you see bottom of the screen, don't forget to subscribe. Fantastic. But I jokingly said to Josh, I'm just like, so 1,500 yards next year, right? And he's just like, whoa, I'm not putting no numbers out there. Like, we were able to get some information. So I mean, honestly, it's just like he's a humble, down to earth dude. But like I said, when you meet all the people surrounded by him, like his dad spoke on it, his agent spoke to it. It's just like they're bringing people of high character. They're bringing people of just a real positive stature, positive outlook on what it is. And I mean, this guy, like Trey Smith, he represents, many people. I think he's representing a couple guys coming into the draft now. He's representing, I think everybody's cornerback that they want, Will Johnson. I believe he's also representing Jalen Walker as well.
Yep.
So I mean, this guy, he
represents Kenny Moore.
Yeah, he represents Kenny Moore also. So I mean, we know that sometimes like people get a bad rap, and we get that. I understand, that's fine, but we also have to be very, very clear about the fact that I don't think enough is normally said about the fact that there are people who do it the right way, and Josh Downs does it the right way.
Absolutely.
So we are. It was absolutely, just like I said, a pleasure to be working with them. And Pat, you can also speak to what also may be coming down the pipeline as well.
Well, Sunday we found out Josh Downs, Caleb Downs, his little brother that just won the national championship at Ohio State, and his mom and dad. They have a foundation called the Downs Family Foundation, and this is the story his dad spoke to me. He said he asked both the boys, "What are you guys really passionate about? As far as helping people?" And Josh said, "Homelessness."
Mm-hmm.
And Caleb said, "Low-income housing." So they turned their attention to those two passions that they have, and they created the foundation around that. And you know what? We didn't even see it in the news last year, but I guess Josh Downs and the Downs Family Foundation, they gave out like 200 turkeys.
Yeah.
To Wheeler Mission and just different places. No cameras, no social media about it, nothing. Just giving back to the community with no eyes on them whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I was telling his dad about the Anvil tailgate, talking about taking it to a nonprofit so we can raise some money and we can help communities. And I just asked him, I said, instead of me trying to do this from the very beginning, why don't we just jump in and help you guys? And he's like, man, you guys would do that? I said, absolutely. The Anvil family is a very big and proud and loving family. I said, we just want to help. We want to be servants, and if you've already got this, formed, it seems like a good fit. He goes, all right, absolutely. So he got me in touch with Andre, and Andre is the president of their foundation. So we're going to start working together, coming up with some plans for down the road. Maybe another cornhole tournament, maybe a bowling tournament, paintball, something, fun.
Yeah.
Get Josh and his family out and hopefully some of Josh's friends. Drew has a great time hanging out with us, so I'm sure we can get him back in there again. So you guys definitely want to subscribe to the YouTube channel because this is where most of the information is going to be coming out. You don't want to miss this.
Yep,
we are locked and loaded and ready to go, man. It's just about putting it all together, making sure we get to fulfill what they want to do.
Yeah.
And he already said, all right, Patrick. He goes, when I need something in Indy, you're the guy. I said, I'm not calling nobody else but you. I said, come on. So we haven't started working on anything per se or anything like that, but it is in the pipelines. We will start working on it.
Yep, absolutely. And that, like I said, that in and of itself is amazing because, like I said, it's just like they're looking to just be connected, when it comes to Indy. So fantastic, like that. I mean, honestly, it's just like that was awesome. But I mean, the event as a whole was awesome. And like I said, got a chance to interview Josh, got a chance to interview Drew. The interview with Drew, I believe, is just like that one's going to be put up sometime this week. I think it's just like maybe.
Yeah, I thought it was going up tonight sometime. So everybody be ready for that. That was, man, you guys did a heck of a job with those interviews. So everybody give Chris and Clyde a round of applause. I was out there, but I was standing in the background. I didn't like the way three people were kind of trying to stand around one person looked. I just thought it looked really cheesy. So I took myself out of it. But before we get too far, I do have an announcement.
Uh-oh.
And it's not the prettiest announcement by no means, but I do believe it needs to be said. Last season, we had one of our tailgate members consume a little too much alcohol. Acted outside of his character. Had an altercation with the family. And if this family's watching, I don't know their names. I wish I did so I could contact them directly. But I'm not going to make any excuses for his behavior because there is no excuses to give. But what I will say is that from our perspective, we handled that. This particular individual has been suspended tailgate privileges. So I can't control him going to the game, going to another tailgate. We can only control what's inside our little bubble. But he has been suspended from tailgating with us for his behavior.
Hey,
so if you're the family that I'm speaking of, please reach out to me so we can get this killed. Because I'm a dad and a grandpa. Chris is a dad. Clyde's a dad. Most everybody that's part of the Anvil family has their own family outside of the Anvil.
Absolutely.
We love, we cherish, and we protect children. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you got to be able to tailgate responsibly. So
you got to. You got to be smart about things, regardless if something's going on in your life and you just want a break from life, that's fine. Go down on a creek bank where nobody's around, where you can only hurt yourself, nobody else. If that's the way you want to handle things with alcohol and how you're dealing with how life is thrown at you, then go down to the riverbank, drink yourself silly, fall into a tree, hurt yourself, nobody else.
Yeah.
Or abstain from alcohol, take it to prayer, and let God do what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I believe he said his yoke was mighty. So there you go. But to that family, I will apologize. We did handle the situation when it arose, but without knowing who you are, we had no way of letting you know that we handled and sent discipline down to said individual. So with that being said, let's move on.
There you go. And you know what? We're going to move on. And also just let you know, Kenny Moore's camp is Saturday, May 17th. So registration is now open for that. So make sure you go to gamedayouthcamps.com. Go ahead and register. So this way you can go ahead and get your spot. This one is actually not going to be at the Colts facility. This one is going to be this one's in Fort Wayne, correct?
Yes. It's some high school. I forget the name of the high school.
Yeah. I'm not sure which one it is, but yep, it'll be in Fort Wayne. So yeah, you can start registering for that now. But yeah, moving on. So Joe Flacco, he did an interview with the radio station this morning, and he had I'm gonna say a very interesting opinion, because they were talking about, like the quarterbacks of now, right? So what he said was, they asked him, just like, what do you think about like the landscape of the quarterback now? And he's saying that there's a lot of teams that are just rushing guys out there. And he said that they're just rushing guys out there. Part of it is because of the fact that it's low risk when it comes down to money. Only because of the fact that if anybody remembers, when Sam Bradford was on his rookie deal, or when he was signed to his rookie deal, guy was getting, I think it was like 4 years or like 3 years, 70 million or something like that. Like they were making, basically what, mid-tier wide receivers are making now, and they were making that just on a rookie contract.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's saying that with many of those contracts back then, you kind of like, you took the time to see what you had, and then you weren't necessarily rushing in unless you knew it was a proven product. Whereas now they're just throwing guys in there, and they're just saying, oh well, whatever, development be damned, whatever it is. And he didn't mention Anthony specifically, but many people just kind of were just like, oh no, he's definitely talking about Anthony Richardson. And I think he was talking about Anthony Richardson. I don't think this was solely about him. I think this was him talking about Anthony Richardson and, and Bryce and Caleb and, Josh Rosen's and the guys who were just thrown out there, who still needed time to kind of develop a little bit, who were just thrown into the fire from day one.
I'll tell you this right now, Chris. Every rookie that comes out of college that goes into the NFL needs time to adjust.
Yeah.
All right, just get that out of the way. Every single one of them. There's not one college player that is polished to the point where he needs no more growth to go to the next level. No one. Now, as a GM or a coach, you have to make the determination what's the best way to get that person elevated to the next level. And a lot of people will say reps, reps, reps. We heard that about Anthony, right? That was the most important thing about his growth was reps, reps, reps. We've seen it where it paid off great dividends for a QB to be thrown to the wolves, learn from his mistakes, grow, move on, win a Super Bowl. We was hoping this would be the case with Anthony Richardson. And it still is, in my opinion. He's only going into his third year. and nobody's crowned this guy king of the NFL yet. But we still want to see that growth. We still think his potential is high enough to wait it out. Yeah. But just because I think this way or you think that way doesn't mean you're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong. It just means we have different ways of going about things. So for Joe to come out and say, "Oh, it's sinful to throw a rookie QB out there," no, it's not. That's just your opinion.
So, I mean, I see things a little bit differently, and I have to say, to an extent, I agree with them, because the thing is, what we're seeing in terms of quarterbacks, a lot of these teams are going from a it's it's a microwave standpoint, right? Because the thing is, it's going to be adjustments. Now, the thing is, even if we look at how rookie QBs or rookie players in general have to do, you don't even really work out with the team until much later in the off season. Like, basically, it's just like you're not working out with that team until OTAs, and even then, you're not really doing much of anything. So it's just like you're going from your system, that college system, into what you know this. Now, the thing is, if you're fortunate to be drafted into a place where the system is very similar, then yeah, there's going to be an adjustment period, but the adjustment period isn't going to be too crazy. As opposed to where, if you're going to a team that has a completely different philosophy from what you dealt with beforehand, and as opposed to now, it's going to be a completely different type of, I'm going to say, a completely different type of adjustment period. Now, for me, I can say when it came down to AR, yeah, okay, he needed reps. But I think also he really needed time to finally digest a system, because he didn't get that on any level. He didn't get that in Florida. He didn't get that going back to high school. He was basically just going out there. Like, high school, it was just him just using, physical attributes and freak athleticism to get by. And then, of course, you see that he's able to go into college. But then college, they're switching out offensive coordinators like underwear. And then now you have to have him in here, and we're saying, oh, yeah, get the reps, get the reps, get the reps. He needs to actually be able to sit down and digest a lot of these things. Now, then once again, I'm never going to take away from the fact that Anthony didn't play the best. Like, he didn't play the best. He played with what he was given, and there was a lot of things that were left out there that could have been a lot better. But I think the other thing came down to the fact that you didn't put this man in a good position by keeping a defensive coordinator that wasn't going to give him nothing but guys just standing still in order to go ahead and show him what these defenses were looking like. Because when it came down to disguising coverages, when it came down to blitzes, when it came down to all these different looks, these weren't looks that he was prepared for, because he wasn't seeing them until they're right there in front of him. And that's part of the learning on the fly, that kind of just was like, okay, I get it, but also at the same time, they could have done better. Like, could have done better with that as a whole. So, I mean, I get the reps, I get that, but the thing is, there's quarterbacks that sat and didn't get the reps, that literally were able to just go ahead, just digest, just go ahead, just see what it is in practice, learn behind somebody who you're going to be able to go ahead and say, okay, why'd you throw it like that? Just to kind of go ahead and just make sure that you're learning on the fly, so that when it's your turn, it's like, okay, now I can apply all these things that I've taken in within this last year, maybe 2 years, whatever it may be, and then hit the ground running. Because we can.
I see it. I see it. But the first thing that pops to my mind when you're speaking is Jordan Love. He sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
His first year out was not that great.
Yes, it was. His first year.
His first full season, yeah. As the starting QB. His second was even worse. Primarily due to injuries. So I'm going to throw some stats up. I know you got a look of bewilderness on your face, but he did not impress me for sitting for 4 years. And he's at the end of his rookie deal. So you're sitting there as a GM. Do you re-sign this guy for max? Or what? You don't know what he can do.
Jordan Love took that team to the divisional championship.
Not his first year. No,
Yes,
he
he
didn't.
did. Yes, he did.
Somebody, you gotta have to prove it because I did not remember that.
Okay.
Now I ate a lot of gummies, so I could be missing some memories.
I was going to say,
So
Jordan Love in his first year under center, he had 4,159 yards passing, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Now this past year, you're right. Like this past year, it was 3,389. I think it was also he was injured for a portion of that year, but that was 3,389 yards, 25 TDs, 11 interceptions. Both of which he had a QB rating of 96.1 his first year as a starter and 96.7 last year.
bad example. Then you proved me wrong, and the gummies proved me right.
the gummies got the best of you.
I'll still stick to the business side of it. You sit a kid that long. How do you make that determination of, all right, let's sign him max deal. He's our guy. You don't know. You haven't really seen him in full-fledged action yet. You haven't seen him with longevity with that full action. Me personally, man, if I'm picking you number one in my draft, regardless if you're sitting at 1 or 32, if you're my number one pick, you're getting thrown to the wolves.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. To me, experience is the best teacher.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's my opinion. Now, I could be wrong. I could be right. I could be right and wrong. I don't know. I don't have to make those kind of decisions. But sitting here in this chair, I would want to see immediately. I don't want somebody to sit. Not a QB. What? Okay, Jonathan. Take Jonathan Taylor. You sit him for a couple years. What do you expect?
Well, no. Well, running back is a completely different animal when it comes down to how you sit somebody. Because the thing is, when it comes down to a running back, you can have 3 of them, and you can go ahead and shuffle them around any way that you choose until one of them takes that leap. Because I don't know if you remember, Frank Reich wasn't even going to put Jonathan Taylor out there. Marlon Mack was the guy. And they were supposed to be a 1-2 punch, but Marlon
until he
was
got
Achilles
hurt.
that first game.
Yep.
So the thing is, like I said, that was going to be more so a committee than anything else. Which I mean, honestly, it would have been a fantastic one.
Yeah, and you're not wrong about the running back position, but man, I'm sorry, you gotta throw these guys out there, sink or swim, and we'll love you regardless. If you sink, we're still gonna love you. If you swim, we're gonna love you even more. But if you sink, I'm not paying you. If you swim, you're getting the check. That's all there is to it. It's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to your work ethic. It's up to your mindset, whether you sink or swim. All these kids, they fight to get to this level. Now let's see what you can do.
Yeah.
Because there's another level after this.
100%.
Can't get complacent.
And I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Like I said, it's just not being complacent, but also I think we can also kind of make that case that even if you're not sure of what you have, or that there's something like experience, even if like there's something that may be a little bit, or that may be a cause to say, you know what, let's go ahead and just give them a little bit of time. Let's hold off a little bit. You can very easily just go ahead and say, you know what, just even the year. I'm gonna say, who are your top 3 quarterbacks, or top, let's just say top 4 quarterbacks ever?
Ever?
Yes.
Well, definitely Joe Montana.
Joe Montana.
And I hope somebody else gets that reference besides you.
Yes.
Peyton Manning, obviously. I know you want me to say his name, but I ain't going to.
No, I'm not going to either.
because I hate that son of a gun.
Yeah, so do I.
I'll throw Andrew Luck in there for sure. He was generational. I mean, there's been a lot of great quarterbacks. So just to try to narrow them down, but you see where I'm going with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they were all rookies thrown in the wolves, and they excelled. Did they have the greatest first season or two? No, but their mindset and their work ethic, it got them past all that.
Well,
And
he who should not be named, he didn't play his first year.
No,
he played year 2, and then even like to for the example, you mentioned Jordan Love. We can go all the way back. We can go to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
and then even then,
but what was his first season like? Yeah, I know we don't have stats on that, and because we're just spitballing off the hip here. But what was his stats his first year, leading the Green Bay Packers?
Well, his first year was
compared to everybody else's.
Yeah, so his first year was actually it was a fairly decent year. It was 4,038 in terms of yardage, 28 TDs, 13 interceptions.
Yeah, pull that last comment up, Sammy.
Brady don't count. He cheats. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. We'll say that. But the thing is, even Montana didn't start first year.
I thought he did.
Nope.
Who'd he sit behind?
I'm not sure.
I know Steve Young sat behind. Now look, and I'm not opposed to drafting a QB behind a QB.
Yeah.
Because this QB is aging out. I mean, and that was the situation with Rodgers. They knew Favre was aging out. That's the way with Love, because they knew Rodgers was aging out.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that. They only set them because they had a Hall of Fame quarterback at the helm already.
Yeah.
That's why they set them. They didn't sit him because they wanted him to learn. They set him because they could.
Yeah.
We couldn't. We had nobody. We had Sam Ellinger. That's it.
I think
you can say this, you can say that, but look at the situations here. Situations definitely going to determine a lot of what you do and what you don't do. Green Bay situation, San Francisco's back in Montana and Young's day, different. They had their Hall of Fame quarterback at the helm when you drafted the next QB. They didn't have to throw him out to the wolves. We did. Baker Mayfield got drafted number 1 overall to Cleveland. They threw him right out, and he done really well. And then they went after Deshaun. He asked for a trade.
And I mean, and even then, when you're especially when you're bringing in somebody like a Baker Mayfield, for example, I think the most recent, I'm going to say the most recent example of having a QB sit, Pat Mahomes sat his first year.
Yeah. Because of what? If Alex Smith would have stayed in without injury, he would have been a Hall of Fame quarterback. Yes or no?
Who, Alex Smith?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I think he had the potential to be.
I don't think he's going into the Hall of Fame. I think he might have been in the Ring of Honor, but I don't think
I said without the injury. Without the injury.
Yeah, without the injury.
Okay, that's your thought. All right.
Yeah,
I thought he had a pretty good path going.
Alex Smith, I think he had a pretty good career, but I just think for him it was just it was too much of the because the thing is, it's just it was ultimately he was getting usurped by whoever was, at the helm at that time. So
yeah, Joe Flacco was just mad because they drafted Lamar and Lamar pushed him out.
Oh yeah. I mean that's a
grumpy old Joe is just an old grumpy man.
Yeah.
Younger talent with better legs, he don't like.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I think it's just gonna. It ultimately is just gonna boil down to the fact that we have to. We're gonna have to just. I'm gonna say it's just like just in terms of patience, just gonna have to be patient with seeing how this year turns out, because as of right now, and me, I've been beating the beating the 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 table, talking about, yes, we need to, this is AR, because honestly, it's his first year. It's his first full year with a full off season where he could absolutely go and just blow people's socks off.
Yep.
But
And that's
I
what
think
we're really hoping. Now, do we know for sure he will? No, nobody does. Nobody can read the future. But that's what we're really and truly hoping. And if you're a fan of the Colts, you should be hoping and praying for this too. Kid's what, 22?
yeah.
He's younger than most of the quarterbacks coming into the draft this year. So why would you hate on him to get better? This kid's potential is to the moon.
Yeah. And I mean, he absolutely does have the intangibles, and he has the means to be able to do everything that we're looking for him to do. I just think that right now we're looking.
Every time you do this, I think you're going to say, hold on, we've got breaking news. Sorry.
We have
my
breaking news.
My
We
warp
have
sense
breaking
of
news.
humor came in.
We
And
still need more linebackers. Like this.
And everybody out there at Z103.com and Mix 105, Chris keeps grabbing his ear with his headset on, and it looks like a news announcer. So
yes.
I had to explain that to all our radio listeners.
Absolutely. Which, by the way, shout out to everybody listening to Z103, Z103.com. If you haven't already, make sure you download that app. So yeah, that's another one of the radio stations we partner with. But I think the interesting.
Since you brought it up, I didn't mean to interrupt you again, and I've been doing it all night, so I know a smack in the back of my head's coming. But Z103.com and Mix 105 is going to be at Kenny Moore's camp.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. We got that approved today.
Yes. All right.
So we're real excited about that.
Very much excited. So that's going to be amazing. And you know what? And I think we just even talking about, I'm going to say going back to AR. I think the biggest thing is that, like I said, we potentially have 2 more years. Now, the thing is, we'll say that we have 2 more years, but I think this year is going to be a year where, we're expecting a leap. Because the thing is, if this year looks anything like last year, even with him doing this work in the offseason, it's going to be hard to defend the whole, well, yes, do it for another year and see what happens.
So even with the first year injuries and him not getting all that, the injuries that took away his training in the off season. Yeah, because you did sit most of your first year. Now, you couldn't run drills, you couldn't throw passes, you couldn't get the rhythm and all that, granted. But you should still have been in the room.
Yeah.
Asking questions while you're watching the film. You're on the sidelines, should have been asking questions. Your second year comes, you get a ton of playing time. You're in your second season off season, so you're getting the training you need. Yeah, so really there's no reason he shouldn't be putting a lot more together this year than what he has the first 2.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, and don't see him sticking around, being quite honest with you. I mean, like you said, you really better see a huge leap in his game, or he probably isn't sticking around.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Now, I was also just kind of, just kind of throwing things around, just kind of like thinking about it. Well, we're talking about a huge leap. I think if we're talking about this, if we're talking about potentially taking a huge leap, I think the leap that we're talking about is going to end up being, I'm going to say something where it's just like we see more efficiency, right? because ultimately, if let's just say if the completion percentage is 57%, but we know that he's taking the checkdowns are there. The touchdown numbers are going up. The interception numbers, it's just like
Going down.
they go down.
We want them down.
But let's just say if it looks like let's just say 2,900, maybe even 3,000 to 3,200 yard season with those numbers, and then also you add in rushing numbers, and he's also able to play the full season, is that not a more successful season?
It's a lot of success because he hadn't been doing that.
Yeah.
You know, we've been screaming and crying, dude. Use your checkdowns. You don't have to run every time your first receiver isn't open. Use your checkdowns. We've cried and cried and cried about that last year. So if he actually starts using his checkdowns, that's improvement.
Yeah.
His completion goes up, that's improvement. The only thing I want to see go down is his actual running yards.
Really?
Yes. I can't prove it, but I have this sneaky suspicion that the so-called running quarterbacks, when you have design run plays for your quarterbacks, that's when they get hurt.
Yeah.
I don't want him hurt no more. I want him in that pocket using that rocket launcher of an arm. Now, if the play breaks down, pocket collapses, and you got to use your legs, then use them. I'm not saying never use them. I'm just saying get away from the design run plays for the QB, because to me, that's when they get hurt.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it's okay. So I get that. I think those types of plays are okay as long as we're not trying to do them at such a high clip that means that's going to cause an issue. Because I think it's just like, the guys, I think Drew even mentioned it himself about AR just like losing some weight. And I think it's just like that's going to speak more to him being able to move around, him being with the footwork and doing what he's doing, and then also that helping with the mechanics. So if we're looking at what AR is potentially going to be able to do, I think he's absolutely going to have opportunities to be able to still run. I just think maybe like when it comes to some of those design runs, it might be more along the lines of misdirections. Maybe some of those RPOs where it's just like, he's going to be out there. I think this year is just going to be about making sure that you get AR going with a full head of steam and you make sure that he's put out there, but he's put out there in a way that's going to make sure that you're utilizing his physical attributes, but in a way that's just much safer. And not just that, but also
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and I think also the one thing that's I think hasn't necessarily been mentioned too much is the fact that, you know, if he's able to make sure that he's connecting with everybody the way that he's connecting in terms of in the passing game, that's going to do dividends for the rushing game. Being able to hit a part of the field that has been such, I'm going to say, an issue to an extent, being able to hit those shorts, hit those things within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage, being able to have that game and being able to be significantly better at that game, that's what's going to end up making sure that he is truly just maximizing his capabilities, because that's what's going to matter most once we get to the point in the season when it's just like, all right, what are we going to do when teams are expecting him to throw the deep ball? How is he going to react? And the reaction is going to be that short game is going to have to be there. And if it's not there, then once again, we're going to be at a place where, we're going to be in trouble.
Well, what's the best way to make sure the short game's there?
Receiving running backs?
Oh, receiving running backs. Okay.
Yes.
I was going to go tight end on you.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
It was a loaded
Absolutely
question.
not. No. Nope. I saw your face. I saw the wheels going off. I saw the smoke coming off the top of your head. I nipped
Oh,
that
I
in the bud
was
before
so
we even
ready.
had the chance. Yeah, you
I
thought
was
you did.
so
You thought
ready.
you had it. You thought you had it. You did not. All right. So with that being said, moving on.
Breaking news just came in. Patrick did not have it.
No, Patrick. No, he did in fact not have it. But in all seriousness, I think this year especially we're all expecting him to turn into what we have known that he is capable of being. But I mean, honestly, it's just going to boil down to patience, and it's going to boil down to us just making sure, like, yes, this is what we're going to do. This is what we need to be moving forward. And I think honestly, it's just like in the meantime, we're just going to have to wait and be patient. I'm glad he hasn't released any videos of the workouts that he's been doing because people are going to criticize him anyway. So I'm just like, you know what? Rather than give them something to talk about, give them nothing, and then let the work talk for you when you get back out there on the field. Come back.
Absolutely. All right.
Yes.
So you still stuck on Campbell?
Yeah. I think Campbell or Johnson. Campbell or Will Johnson. I'm still not team tight end. I'm just really not.
I'm not either. But I'm okay with it if they do go that way. Those guys in that building is a lot smarter than me. So I'll refer to their professionalism over my thought process. But yeah, I still went Campbell.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm still very much
Because that draft is a week from today.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm excited because you know what? After the draft, we won't have to hear about Tyler Warren ever again, unless he's on our team. In which case, then we'll have to hear about him forever.
And you're gonna be his number one fan, aren't you? If he's on our team.
No, it'll probably be Huyan. Huyan is definitely his number one fan. So yeah. No, he's not, because now all of a sudden he's like Team Colston Loveland. So.
Well, you know what else we was able to get done this offseason?
What's that?
We got a partnership with Visit Indy. Sammy, can you bring that QR code up? So, if you guys don't know what Visit Indy is the people that run the stadiums, the convention centers, and all that good stuff.
Yes.
Hotels, you name it. These guys control everything. So next month, we got Kenny Moore Camp coming up. Scan the QR code, find you a hotel room if you're an out-of-towner. Also next month, we've got the race coming to town. Scan the QR code. It's not just football. Visit Indy does everything. If they have Comic-Con here, scan the QR code. They help run that thing. I think the NRA convention's been here. I don't know if it's coming back, but Monster Truck Jam, the dirt bike races, you name it, concerts, anything and everything the city does, this QR code will help steer and guide you through it.
Okay.
So there you go. We will still be talking throughout the year, especially when season starts with upcoming attractions. Because man, I tell you, Chris, we get a lot of people come to the tailgate.
Yep. And by the way, this is the app. So
there you go.
Or the website.
And you've seen him scan it. You can scan it right there on the screen. But we have a lot of people from out of town. They're either Colts fans or they're fans of the visiting team. And what happens is they always come up and say, "Hey, I'm sticking around an extra day or two. What's there to do in this city? Where can I take my kids?" Things of that nature. So that's why this partnership with Visit Indy is very vital to what we do and how we do it.
Yeah.
So we will keep we'll keep pumping that up on the show so everybody can scan it until you get to know it personally. But it's just visitindy.com.
Yep.
Pretty simple.
And like I said, it's a very easy app. Like I said, you can just even pulling it up.
Very
like
user friendly.
Yeah, they're showing the events. They're showing different places that you can do events, restaurants, hotels, travel tools. All that's in there. So whether you're an Indy resident that just needs to find something to do under the Visit Indy thing, or if you're coming from out of town to go into Indy, you can use that. Like I said, the website's free. Just if anything, like I said, it's just super easy to use, and so make sure you download the Visit Indy app. But in the meantime, Pat, what else do you have? Meanie says, Pat, all those dudes behind you are checking out your shiny head. And he says, so you want a hotel room, Pat? Well, okay, big boy. That is. So on that note, we're going to get the hell out of here because what the hell?
Because Meanie said so.
Because Meanie said so, yes. So, Pat, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on X at Big P Colts.
Jesus, that's diabolical still. All right, and then you can find me. We already gave you the name. I don't even say you didn't give me anything. We definitely did. You just haven't.
What'd you give me?
No, we gave you what's the name? I think we just said Big Pat Colts.
Big Pat. Nobody likes that.
Well, nobody likes Big P either, but I mean, you're just kind of sticking with that one now, aren't you?
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
See, that's a lie. The devil is a lie. All right, so you can find me on Twitter. Because Mama called him Twitter, I'm going to call him Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at CJ Colts fan. And make sure
Mama also called you a little asshole, too, so.
No, she did it.
She did. Every mama called her son an asshole.
My mom never called me an asshole. My mom never called me an asshole.
You might not have heard her, but she said it.
No. My little brothers, she called them assholes for sure.
Yeah, come on now.
I was the good one. So yes.
Yeah, and then, it's always the worst one to say. I was the good one.
No, I was the oldest. I was the one taking care of them.
Okay, asshole.
But yeah, Sammy, go ahead and bring up for the Twitter page for the you can find us at Sick Pod Colts. Make sure that you are liking, commenting, sharing, following. And get you have a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend. Tell them to follow too. Make sure that you're subscribing on YouTube at the Sick Podcast Anvil Show. And so other than that, people, enjoy your weekend. Happy Easter, by the way. And we will see you. Oh, for those who have, for those who believe, then absolutely happy Easter. And so with that being said, we will see you next week. Even if you don't
believe it, happy Easter to you, anyways.
There you go. And with that being said, we will see you next week right before the draft. So, Sammy, take us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Anvil Show on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.